Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about what I learned in my first 100 days of being a full-time artist, self-taught at that. Makes it interesting. We're going to be talking about what I learned, what surprised me, and kind of what I would have done differently if I had to go back and do it again. So if you're considering going full-time yourself, I'm hoping this gives you a little insight into what it's really like. Also, as a disclaimer, I am not claiming to have all of the answers. I am just sharing my story with you in hopes that you can learn vicariously. So as you can probably tell by the unpainted walls behind me, I am talking to y'all from my art studio that is very much in progress. This is a journey I've been documenting on YouTube, and it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm also one of those people who wishes things were done yesterday. So hopefully my YouTube videos will get a little more aesthetic as time goes on, but for now, we do with what we got. Anyways, here are the top things that I learned in my first 100 days of being a full-time artist. Number one, it was a major leap of faith. My journey to full-time was, shall we say, bumpy. For a long time, I tried to balance creating with working day jobs in hopes that one day I would be getting enough traction to where I could transition smoothly into being a full-time artist. But that's not what happened. For me, what actually happened was that my jobs were stealing my time. The time demanded of me at work kept growing and growing and growing until I had nothing left for my art. And honestly, the last couple jobs that I had before transitioning to full-time were awful. There were toxic dynamics that took my emotional energy away, and bosses who kind of overworked me well into overtime until my health started collapsing. So in an ideal world, I would have given myself a lot more time to get things off the ground before I quit and left the workforce, but the reality was I couldn't. I found myself praying, God, I wonder if you're trying to tell me something. Because everywhere I turned, the encouragement that I was getting from people in my life was, there's something here, you should pursue this. At that point, I had had a few commissions lined up, but my art hadn't really gained public traction yet, which is not ideal. If you can get to the point where your art sustains itself before you quit your job, then do it. It will spare you so much stress. Number two is how much opportunity there actually is. I had hesitated for so long because I had been told people just don't buy prints anymore, that's more of a disposable income. But once I actually took the leap, I discovered that that was only one tiny piece of the puzzle. There's subscriptions, YouTube, licensing, brand partnership, commissions, teaching, you name it. The only limit is your own creativity. And that's kind of cool. So if I could go back and do it again, I would probably research all of the ways that I could make a sustainable living before I quit my job. Chose a few to get started, invested in those and got them off the ground, and then went from there. The third thing I learned is that finding your style is a mentality. As a self-taught artist for months and honestly years, I tried to mimic other artists and tried to adopt the techniques that I thought would work for my work. I would mimic these artists sometimes because I admired them, and other times because I thought my work had to look like theirs in order to be marketable. I feel like a lot of that pressure came from artists selling courses on how to do certain techniques and making it seem like their way was the only way. But when I realized that I did not have to just repeat what had already been done, and that I actually didn't need permission to do something outside the box and new, everything shifted. I started painting what was on my heart. That was when my style truly began to develop. And I knew this was the case because after that point, my heart felt like this peace. Like it finally started to do the weight on my heart justice. It was like sigh of relief for my soul, if you will. Because a lot of the previous pressure came from seeing the polished versions of everyone's work on social media, if I could go back when I was trying to find my style, I would set a strict policy that I would only look at social media and other artists' work after I had created my own, so I didn't feel this pressure to conform while I was at my own easel. Number 4 is how important community is. Yes, I'm referring to the artist community to some extent, but mostly just people who have an entrepreneurial mindset. You need a supportive community that thinks like entrepreneurs, because that's essentially what you are as an artist, as an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest influences for myself was not even an artist. It was a local couple that started a farm-to-table restaurant. They grew the food, they cooked it, and they served it all all themselves. That kind of risk-taking mentality and lifestyle was totally new to me at the time. And it kind of challenged me to look at my own life and see how I could take it in a different direction. So, as an aside, shout out to Ronin Farm and Restaurant in Bryan, Texas. Quality ingredients, good company, and an awesome dining experience. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. From all this is what I learned. You need two kinds of people. The people who question you and challenge whether or not you're going to be able to do this, and the people who have no doubt in you and just say go for it. If you don't have one, you tend to throw caution to the wind and you can end up in a whole lot of trouble. If you don't have the other, you'll probably get discouraged and quit fairly soon. If I could go back, I would go out of my way to research artist group in my local town and just surround myself with entrepreneurial people and ask lots of questions. It's called networking. Look it up. All I have to say, networking and community mattered way more than I realized, even for a bootstrapper. Case in point. Number 5 was how much I would actually have to think and act outside the box. Sometimes making the impossible possible requires a little bit of unconventional thinking. For me, that involved dealing with my biggest expense, rent. The only way that I was going to be able to swing this before my art gained traction was to get out from under my rent situation at the time. So I bought a trailer and I parked it on a friend's property. With their permission, of course. It is not glamorous and it is still very much a work in progress as I convert it into my functional art studio, but I do not regret it for a second. As a matter of fact, if I had to go back, I would do it much sooner than I did. And on that note, if you would like to follow this camper conversion, I will link my most recent update at the end of this video. Number 6 is something I did not expect, and it has become a little bit of a soapbox for me, so I will try my best to keep it short. Growing on social media. Pain point for a lot of us, I feel like. Anyways, it is a lot harder than I imagined it would be. I knew that as an artist, I had defined my artistic style, but little did I know that I had defined my social media style too. Sometimes it feels like being good in terms of being an artist, being a good artist is not good enough. You have to also be entertaining. And for me, that was a very hard pill to swallow, and honestly, I still joke on it sometimes. I was not on Instagram before the algorithm changed to become a little bit more like TikTok, from my understanding at least. So I never really saw the golden days, as some artists have put it. All I have really seen is when it kind of sucked for artists. Now it kind of feels manipulative, like people are having to recycle trends and use clickbait and reverse psychology just to get like 3 seconds of people's attention. Especially for an artist who is trying to tell a story with their art. It's not really ideal. At first, I tried mimicking what other artists were doing on their Instagram account to try to find what worked for me, and honestly, it kind of felt fake. Eventually, I had to find what felt natural for me on my social media account, and honestly, I'm still kind of learning. And there's a tricky part to it because art has that natural inbuilt beauty and curiosity to it, but if you milk the watch time, it just gets a little cringy. Like those artists that take like 5 business days to turn the canvas around. Just turn it around. Just turn it around. I got stuff to do. Just turn it around. As someone who loves telling stories with my art, if I could go back, I would not only have practiced my social media presence earlier, but I would also have started a newsletter, because you have that captive audience that is more willing to spend a lot more time with what you have to say. As a side note, I have also discovered that there are pros and cons to courses on how to go viral. If people are marketing to you like it's their way or the highway, I have found for myself that I got to where I was afraid to even post in the first place because I was afraid it was gonna fail. And that's counterproductive, obviously. So just post. Just post. It's like practicing your art over and over again. In order to find your style, you need to create. Don't worry about it in the beginning. Don't worry about the virality. Don't worry about any of that. Just post. Number 7, the mental side of things. This one for me might have been the hardest. Going full-time for me was a mental and emotional roller coaster. It takes endurance, drive, and courage to believe things are going to get better when things are slow. I do firmly believe that this part would have been a lot easier if I had invested in my community earlier. There were days I really did not know if I was going to make it as a full-time artist. If I could go back, I would invest a lot more in the relationships of local artists rather than looking online for inspiration as much. There's still a place for it, but it's got to be a balance, because with the online presence, everything is polished. You don't see the messy behind the scenes. You don't see any of that. This constant state of comparison can make you feel like a failure before you've even started, which leads to procrastination, which leads to more self-doubt, which leads to, yeah, I think we've all been there. Number 8. This is a little interesting to me. Kind of frustrating, irritating actually. How many people actually prey on emerging artists? As emerging artists, we are putting pieces of our hearts out into the world, and your originals kind of become like your kids almost, and you want to see them succeed so badly. And that makes us easy targets for people selling quick fixes. I cannot tell you the number of times I have heard some variation of, you're doing everything wrong and that's why you're failing, and that's why you need to buy our course, product, what have you, for X amount of money. And then, and only then, will you succeed. Since I was bootstrapping most of it, I did not have the budget for a whole lot of that, and I think that honestly kind of saved me, because a lot of those things are A, way overpriced, and B, not the magical solutions that they claim to be. So please do not fall for the sales pitch. Do we need advice sometimes? Of course. But also, sometimes growth just legitimately takes time, and we're programmed to think that if we're not an overnight success, then we're a failure and we should just quit, like right now. And that's just not true. When we see a story like, I went from this lowly place to this major success, and it's like a 20-second video that you see on Instagram, just remember that what you're not seeing is that there were 49 chapters before that chapter 50 ever arrived. Be strategic in your marketing, yes, but just don't buy into the lie, literally. It will save you so much time, so much money, and so much emotional turmoil. So that is the majority of what I learned in the first 100 days of being a full-time artist. Before I close though, I want to tell you one of the most impactful quotes I have ever heard along the way was, make it exist first and then make it good later. Hopefully these thoughts have made the transition to good a little easier. If you are on this path too, know it is not going to be easy, but it is very much worth it. And if you would like to follow my camper studio conversion, I will link that video here. Please do not forget to subscribe if you would like more behind the scenes on what it is like to be a self-taught full-time artist. If you would like to support my work or be part of my brand new print club, please check out my Patreon in the description box. And with that, I will see y'all